You're telling me that you were singing Amazing Grace and you had a very keen awareness of the presence of God. Am I describing that accurately?
Yes.
You were singing Amazing Grace. Now, you talked about having a good family and so forth. Were you exposed to spiritual truth and to the truths of God and to Jesus earlier in life, but somehow it just didn't seem to connect, or you didn't allow that presence and that person and power to fill your life? I mean, did you have enough exposure that you should have already moved toward Him, or is this just something that seemed to come in some kind of a mighty move of God's Spirit on you in that moment?
Well, I grew up going to church. And my family, we prayed at meals and at bedtime, but that was pretty much the extent of my spiritual, any experience when I was growing up. So I believed that God was real. I believed that Jesus was the Son of God. I believed that He died for my sins, but I had no idea that I had to choose to accept His forgiveness, or that I was created to be in a personal relationship with God. And so I just thought that God was some small part of my life in the corner, and He heard my prayers maybe sometimes. Really, I just thought He was a real distant idea more than anything. I didn't realize how personal and real He was. So it was after this happened that my eyes started to be open to how big He was, and how, just knowing that I should have died and that I was still alive opened my eyes to the reality of His presence in my life. So it was a really cool thing.
Let me ask you this question, because some people don't know, how did you come to that moment when this presence became personal? What happened to lead you to go ahead and what you'll be asking people to do? And I encourage everyone to accept Christ, to receive Christ. What happened to you to lead you to that point? In other words, what exactly brought that to pass?
Well, after I lost my legs and had attempted suicide, I knew I should have died, and I started to question whether or not I would have went to heaven or hell. And everyone around me told me that I would have went to heaven, and I kind of think they did that because it was a feel-good answer. They didn't want to think about me going to hell. They knew I didn't want to think about going to hell, so that's what they told me. But I just started to worry. What if I wouldn't have went to heaven? What if I would have went to hell? And so I was really troubled inside. I was starting to pray and ask God. And eventually a couple came over to have dinner with my family just to encourage us after everything that had happened. And the husband of the couple was going to seminary to be a pastor. So I took that as my opportunity to ask him if he thought that I would have went to heaven if I died. And he very gently and very, very lovingly told me that every single one of us were created to be in a personal and intimate relationship with God. But because of the sin, because of the wrong things that we've done, we're separated from God. But that's why Jesus died for us. And if we choose to accept His forgiveness and let Him into our lives, we'll be reunited with God. And I just had never heard that before. I knew that Jesus was the Son of God, but I didn't know there was a choice I had to make to accept Him and become a Christian. I didn't know that there was a relationship I could have, so I was missing a lot. And that was the night that I decided to become a Christian.
So you received Jesus into your heart, and it was a decision, it was a commitment. And Jesus said you have to have a spiritual birth or no one enters the kingdom of heaven. And so you'd never been applied to you. You just kind of thought religion was something you associate with. And now this man and this couple, I'm sure, has said to you, you need to commit your life to Christ. You need to receive what He did when He died for you. And He died, and He's alive to live in you, right?
Exactly.
What was his name, man? You remember the young...
His name was Brad.
His what?
Brad.
Brad. Hey, Brad, let me just say to you, thank you very much. I want you to know that is good. Now, is he pastoring, or what's he doing now? You know what
they're missionaries, Brad and Val.
He's a missionary. Well, God bless you. That was a great witness.
I'm sorry. What is your hope through this book as far as people that... There's a lot of people that amazingly get to that point to where they feel like, I'm a problem to this world. I want to, get myself out of this misery or this torment I'm in, which I feel like you would want to say with your testimony in your life, don't get to the point that I did. Ask God for help before that.
Yes, definitely. I mean, suicide is never the answer, no matter what has happened, no matter where you've been, no matter what you've done. Suicide is never the answer. There's always hope. There's always plans that God has for our lives, very specific plans for every single one of us. And I just want people to understand that. I want them to open their eyes to the reality of Him in their life and just seek Him with their heart in every single way that they can. And I know that He'll meet them in that place. And so that's my hope, that they will just see Him and experience Him, because they will never turn away from Him if they really experience Him.
You want everybody to read your book because you want to understand where you found the life, right? And that life is available for them in a relationship with God, not religion. You'd been exposed to some religion,
Exactly.
but you came into a relationship. Jesus is real to you, right?
Absolutely.
And he can be real to everybody. And that's your hope. All right. What do you do now? Do you want to go and speak? I mean, are you like saying to viewers, if you want me to come to your church or your community, how would they contact you? And are you interested in going and sharing with people who may be battling depression or with people who may be looking for meaning in life? I mean, is that what you want to do?
Yes, I love sharing my story. I love doing ministry. I started a ministry called Reaching You Ministries, and our website is www.reachingyou.org, and that's where people can request me to speak. And we have an email support team for people who are struggling with suicidal thoughts or depression or just going through a really hard time. So,
where is your home?
An hour north of Chicago.
All right, so I'm sure that there are plenty of churches in Chicago that could use a little inspiration. I've had the great privilege of speaking there in some of the great churches and actually being in some citywide events there. And the state of Illinois would be blessed to have you just right around close to where you are. But you're willing to go anywhere that people will receive you and give you an opportunity to share your story. And I always say, don't ever invite anyone you see on Life Today that you don't want to invest in their life and their future. In other words, don't see someone here and say, oh, we'd just love to have their story, and not undergird them not only with prayers but with your support. So when you invite someone, stand with them. There is Kristen's website, and I really hope that you will go and literally continue this. Let me ask you this question. Now, you don't have your legs.
Right.
All right. I mean, it was severed very, very near the hip joint. This one somewhere near the knee. And are you all right? I mean, I know you look back and think, I wish I had my legs. But are you okay? I mean, do you feel like, you know what? I may not have my legs, but I've got life?
Absolutely. I wouldn't trade what's happened to me for everything that God has used it for and everything that He's given me. So
Jesus, is that real?
Absolutely. No question about it.
All right, and He can be that real to you. Listen to me. I don't know where you are in your journey, but I know what Kristen chose the first time was not the right choice. But then through the pain, she made the right choice. Do you know something? You don't have to go through crisis. You don't have to have a catastrophic event in your life. The cross is all the crisis that you ever need to witness. It's the Son of God dying that we might live. He loves you so much. And right where you are, if you'd invite Him to come into your life and accept Him as the way to heaven and the way to life and the way to live right now and the strength to do it, He'll give you that life. Father, I pray for every person watching that this moment they would receive You to deal with all the issues, depression, challenges, pain, and hurt that they have, that You would be real in their life as they receive You. In Jesus' name. You want to call that number and say, you know what, I just prayed. Would you send me some Bible study material? I have material that I wrote called Knowing God as Father, and I didn't have a father, but I met Him, God. We'll be glad to help you. We want to help you. And Kristen, we want to thank you for sharing your story, and I hope that you will get the book. And it's in the bookstores, Life in Spite of Me. Also, there's her website. You want to say thanks to Kristen for the miracle of God in her life and for sharing it. Thank you, Kristen, for being a blessing.